Many have commented how I can possibly afford such a grand tour, and the answer is, of course, it's all done on the cheap, like really on the cheap. Like, I've been spending maybe $50 a day since I've been on the road, and $50, that's what, about half what you'd expect to spend on a motel for the night, something like that. So one of the big savings you can get, of course, is by staying in the car. Right. So I'm going to give you a little tour of my home. I'm going to start with maybe the most cost-effective thing you spend money on if you're touring is a GPS for $200-300. These are an absolute lifesaver. I did actually tour for a couple of years before the dawn of GPS, or before I had one. And all I can think, I have no idea how I managed to find my way around with just like paper maps and such like. All I can think of is I must have spent a lot of time lost, and I must have found a lot of the things that I did find when I was lost. Anyway, so yeah, GPS, absolutely fantastic. We'll come back to the front end in a second. So up on the roof here, keeping them out of way, I have the 2 spare planes and the Post-Roy Navigator Ray Comfort, for the simple reason I decided that he would probably just throw it away. Then on the back, with its head in a trash can, that's the functioning plane. You know, with the trash can to keep all the photographic stuff or video stuff from damage. And here's the receiver, the ground receiver. And there's a similar little trash can here. It contains all the really useful stuff that you want near at hand. So it's got chargers, mouthwash, cameras and such like. I might pull him out. So the nice thing is he pulls out. That gets you access to those 2 drawers, which have a load of stuff for the telescope and other things like soldering irons, glue guns, that sort of thing. And you'll notice there are also a couple of little drawers like that down here, and most of them contain spares for the plane. Then down there, behind all of that, are the sort of heavy tools for things like dealing with the car if it needs to be dealt with. So that's the manual for the car. Then on the back on that side is most of the stuff for going out into the wilderness. So water pumps, little stove, what else? Gas bottles, that sort of thing. And and little pots and pans. That. Then back here we have the ice chest with the sort of silvered stuff on top, for extra insulation. Then virtually everything that's in the back of the car there, big shout out the finger there, everything that's in the back is pretty much the telescope. So after all of that, that brings us to what's in the front. So we got the webcam and the little guy for running it. After the odd sort of snack food stuff, I've got my little backpack which contains the notebook which I mostly use for rendering, and yeah, one of the power things that failed earlier and I didn't quite manage to mend, but whatever, that's junk now. So after all of that, and then down here of course I've got the mobile power for the telescope or whatever needs mobile power. Paper map of course, always good for the big scale planning. And you'll notice there's loads of Velcro. Absolutely everywhere on the car there is Velcro. So these things act as fantastic little cable ties. You just want to sort of keep a cable out of the way such that I don't actually sort of pull and move the webcam. Or this is an MP3 player, so you just stick it on like that, and that works fantastically. And what's small is when it's all black like that, it just looks like a cheap piece of fairing on the car, so that works out fantastically. And other really useful things like tape, they'll held on with Velcro. And after all of that, bar where I actually put my feet to drive the car, there is just about enough room. Right, so in the back there I have my coat, which acts as a pillow, and over the other side is where I put my legs when I sleep. And no, there isn't enough room to actually stretch my legs. If I sit up, I can stretch my legs. You can see all my tan lines from my sandals there. Anyway, so if I sit up, I can stretch my legs, but if I want to lie down, then I've got to sort of do the fetal position. And it only just works out that there's only just enough room here to avoid the whatever lumpy things. So this has been my home for the last 6 weeks. Well, apart from when I've been sleeping under the stars, that is. So